and today, if you couldn't read the topic of this video, or if you didn't read the title of this video, we're talking Mortal Kombat 11 and the possibilities of fourth variations being in the game. Now, the thing to keep in mind with this, well, actually we'll start with a fun fact. This was originally going to be a video series. I wanted to do a video series on the hypothetical possibilities of fourth variations and go through them and everything. But that just never happened. Just because it just never got around to it, you know what I mean? I recorded everything, and then, nope, it just didn't bother with it. So a stream would actually be a pretty damn good idea. So, I'm gonna send the stream out to some peeps. Tag some peeps in here real fast. That ought to do the trick. Doot, doot. Or almost done. There's a couple more. Get in there. Get in there. Get into the links. The links, the links, the links. Into the links, into the links, into the links, links. Bada bam. And boom. That ought to do the trick. So, let's get started. I like casually tossing my phone if I'm on a soft, squishy surface. Okay, I'm wearing my Jurassic shirt. It's like, am I wearing Deathstroke? I didn't throw that on today. So first things first, when it comes to talking about fourth variations, the one thing that I should make perfectly clear is that... Alright, oh yeah. Hello, Shadowkit! Just getting started on... Oh, that got sent twice. That could be interesting. We'll see how that works out. Thrice. Oh, geez. Where'd my phone go? Where did 4 times? I think the chat log's broken. 5! 4 times. Yep. The chat thing over there is broken. It's now. Oh no. Ah! It's okay. I got the real chat log here. It won't. The chat flood will still happen, but oh, this is funny. All right. It's probably not going to stop. So, just send the message once. I'll check over there and check over there. I'll check over on the live chat on my phone. Yeah, well, at least it updates. Yeah. So, at least it updates what it's copying. Yeah, I won't. Worst case scenario, I'll have a peek over here just to see, because, yeah, I caught that one before I caught it on the live feed, so, especially if it's going to constantly remind me. Anyways, so, let's talk, the first thing about fourth variations. There are characters that can't have fourth variations, and let me explain. Let's take Shao Kahn as an example. His 3 competitive variations are the trophy ones. True Kahn, which has the Taunts, Ground Shatter, and Wrath Hammer. Risen Emperor has Annihilation, Up Wrath Hammer, and Dark Priest. And Realm Destroyer has both of his spear moves and Seeking Wrath Hammer. Now, because those abilities are all there, he has a move. He actually ends up with a singular attack that isn't in anything, and and it's only one slot, meaning that you're never going to see it in a fourth variation on its own. Air Wrath Hammer. Yeah, Air Wrath Hammer is what you would expect. It's the Wrath Hammer chucked down. I made a hammer variation for Shao Kahn because, I mean, look at that thing. Oof. But the thing is that Air Wrath Hammer is a single slot move, and because he doesn't have any other abilities, he can't have a fourth variation. But if he were to have at least one 2-slot ability that could complement Air Wrath Hammer, I don't know, maybe he gives himself armor, for instance. Okay, but if they're going to have fourth variations, they need to do that for all of them rather than some. Not necessarily, because there are some characters that can have fourth, fifth, and Kitana can actually have almost 6 variations. So I'm talking about the ones that can't do that right now. So right now, Shao Kahn just needs 1 2-slot or 2 1-slot abilities in order to work out. Collector is a big victim of this because he doesn't have enough moves to make 4 variations without duplicating moves. He has 1 2-slot ability. One of them, well, technically one of them is 2-slot because it requires another move, but it still comes to 9 slots exactly, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so it comes to 9 slots exactly, which is exactly enough to make 3 variations. Can't make 4. He needs at least 2 new abilities, one of them 2-slot, one of them 1-slot. Maybe not right now, but exactly. Give him, whoever else needs it, new moves. Yeah, and I'm just clearing that up. So if anybody else comes in and sees I'm talking Scorpion and wants me to talk Collector, I can't. But I can't because he doesn't have enough moves. So he would need he needs 3 1-slots, 1 2-slot and 1 1-slot, or a 3-slot ability, which that's not a very common thing right now. Only Shang Soon, I think, has a 3-slot ability, and it's his Shapeshifter's Training. This is his 3rd variation right here, where he turns into the ninjas. And I don't think anybody else has that, so I think it would be really cool to see more 3-slot moves show up as a free update. So that's Shao Kahn and Collector for sure, and I'm just going to go through the rest of the cast just to make sure. So we'll start from the top. Shang Soon. Right now, or make it so people can make their own 4th variation. I think a player made it. You know, Ed Boon was talking about that. He did want custom variations to make it into tournaments, so a 4th customizable variation would actually be pretty smart. That way you don't have to make new moves, but you can make new combinations or use moves that have not been seen yet. Perfect example here is Shang Soon. He has 3 very good variations. He has Warlock, which is skull-based and fire-based. He has Spellmaster, which is all about souls. And he has his shape-shifting variation, where he turns into all the ninjas. But unlike Shao Kahn and the Collector, he actually has enough moves to give him a 4th variation right now. He has Vile Sorcery, which is like a weaker version of Shao Kahn's taunts. Soul Swap, which is a teleport that lets Shang Soon warp, switch positions with the opponent, and do unblockable damage. And either Explosive Corpses to launch somebody with the body drop, or Inferno Barrier to create a tornado to trap people. If a character like Collector doesn't have enough for a new OG, let them pick and choose which ones they like. Yeah! Exactly right! Also, for the new person who's just joining in, watching my feed go, what the hell? Focus on the YouTube live chat, because for some reason my stream's chat is repeating the last message that gets sent non-stop. It's actually, we had a bit of a laugh about this. But yeah, if we're just talking straight traditional 4th variations where you can't customize it, Shang actually has enough for a 4th variation that can be very interesting indeed. We already talked about Shao Kahn. Frost has Frost is one that doesn't have a 4th variation possible right now. She almost does, though, and that's the most irritating thing about Frost, is that she almost has enough She has enough different moves, but because 3 of them are 2 slots, she can't. And I don't understand. Okay, I understand core trap because you trap the opponent in the... If they touch the edges, they take unblockable damage. They're stuck inside of the barrier. Otherwise, they're hooped, which in the corner can be dangerous. Burrowing Augur doesn't need to be 2 slots. Why is this 2 slots? It misses at close range. It doesn't... It comes up at an upward angle, and it's just not that good. It's not good enough to warrant itself being 2 slots. So, for me, if Burrowing Augur became 1 slot, you could do Burrowing Augur and Core Trap, and bam, you got yourself a 4th variation. My boy, Nightwolf! My boy, Nightwolf. They did you dirty with your competitive variations, because only one of them has his animal buff. Has an animal buff. That's it. Nothing else does. And unfortunately, 2 of them conflict with each other. Both of the eagle buffs conflict. What I would personally do with Nightwolf is I'd give him a Beastmaster one. I'd give him Spirit of Como, Hana's Wrath, and I would give him Lunar Orbit, which enhances his zoning, gives him a great way to catch people jumping, and he has a Beastmaster thing. He could also get Moonfall, which is a trap-based thing, where he sets down the Tomahawk and then he can get it back, but he loses Tomahawk moves, like Ronin Takeda from NKX. But another interesting possibility is, right now, his 3rd variation is Spirit Tracks and Ancestral Hunter, which makes Spirit Tracks launch with meter. Maybe we can have just Spirit Tracks without the launcher, and that would also constitute a 4th variation. Nightwolf has options. And even if and again, Nightwolf is a character that can have 5 variations this way. So if we take the conflicts into account, we can do Spirit of Como, Hana's Wrath, and Lunar Orbit, right? And then we could do Spirit of Hana, or actually let's do Spirit Tracks. Let's just do normal Spirit Tracks because I don't think it's affected by by the Spirit of Hana. So I know Rhino charges. So it would be Spirit of Como, Spirit of Hana, and Spirit Tracks. Just Spirit Tracks, nothing else. And then this is funny as hell. And then a 5th variation could be, except these two conflict, so that actually can't happen, unfortunately. Not in that exact way, but you get very close. You get Hana's Wrath, and you get Lunar Orbit, or Moonfall. So, actually what you could do, now that I think about it, is Como, Spirit of Hana, and then Moonfall, or Lunar Orbit. We'll do Moonfall. And then you can have Lunar Orbit, Spirit Tracks, and Hana's Wrath, and then you have 5 variations for Nightwolf. This is what I was talking about earlier, like, some characters don't have enough moves to get a 4th variation just from the moves, unless you count what Shadowcat said, which was the mix and match of all already existing moves, which I think is pretty sweet. But others, like Nightwolf, can theoretically get 5. And you know what? I have an idea. I have an idea of what we're gonna do with this. Instead of just we're gonna stick to the character selection thing for now, and then maybe we'll go in and demonstrate some of these new moves. The Joker. God, I don't like that this guy's here. So the Joker's current 3 variations are doll-based. We have a doll variation, a Jack-in-the-Box variation, and we have a weird variation. He's got Kapow and Getting Lit, which I don't know why he doesn't have the super jump, because it's for theming that would make sense, but instead of the super jump we get gasoline. Sure. But he does have enough for a 4th variation, and I have actually built it already. I call this one Gordon's Terror, and it involves some of his more grisly moves. He has, first off, the 2-slot Hostage Hop, where he sends a hostage to hop across the arena and then detonates them for damage. I think it can launch under certain situations meterlessly, but you can amplify it to make it launch right away. And then Corpse Trot, which is 1 slot, replaces his Jack-in-the-Box, but lets him grab a body and swing it around as a club to damage the opponent. So a body bag variation, for lack of a better term, I think would be really cool for the Joker, just because it would be so damn weird. Who would expect... Hostage Hop would be bizarre, and he would get Corpse Trot, and it would just be a grand old time. For me, anyway. I think that would be the variation that would get me to play the Joker, to be completely honest. I wonder if that has an upper limit to how often it's going to repeat. Johnny Cage! Johnny Cage. Let me double check something really quick. Outtake, Low High Force Ball, Rising Star, Say Cheese, Throwing Shades, Mime Time, Brass Knuckles, and Cage Rage. I don't think... Let me double check something really quick, but okay, he does have a 4th variation. I think I built it for the video I was going to make about this, but I didn't end up releasing it, so here we are. Right now does he have Pissed Off? No, he doesn't. So this variation I'm calling this. Got it for a sec. What about that? What about the clown fucker? The Joker's 4th variation, which I have built, is all about using bodies. So he would use Hostage Hop, which is a human time bomb, in order to trick opponents and make things go boom. And then Corpse Trot, which he would grab the opponent, or not the opponent, he would grab a body and then swing them into the opponent for damage. But back to Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage, I didn't quite make this 4th variation, but just for the purposes of it, I'm going to. This is what it would look like. It would be Stunt Double and Pissed Off. Pissed Off is not a true command grab, but it's a high damage ender, where he would throw a bunch of punches at close range, and then amplify, send the opponent flying. Where he can then use Stunt Double. Now, Stunt Double is a kooky one. It replaces his Shadow Kick, and it allows him to call a Stunt Double to run as a human projectile, clotheslining the opponent, and then on Amplify, get an overhead out of it. But he also has a tricky overhead off of Stunt Double, where the Stunt Double comes from the side of the screen the opponent is on, and clobbers them, or restrains them with a mid, in order for Johnny Cage to start a combo. So this would be amazing, yeah. So this would be Stunt Double Johnny Cage with a little helping of stage drama, because he's pissed off and gonna sock somebody in the face. Sonya Blade. I do not believe... Yeah, she doesn't have enough. The only thing that she doesn't have in a variation right now is a 1-slot attack called Soaring General. It's a weird flying kick where she flies towards the opponent. It's kind of like Mortal Kombat 1's Square Wave. Because, yeah, fun fact, Sonya had a flying punch in MK1. And it was the original Square Wave, before Kitana had anything like that. And it's kind of funny for me, because, like, they brought that back, but they didn't bring back anything like leg grab or arc kick. Who needs choreographed fights when you can get into actual death matches, right? So I think what they should do, and this is actually a very specific thing I want to have added to Sonya, is that Sonya does not have any traditional moves. Like, all of her special moves outside of, like, Ring Blasts in her basic arsenal is Ring Blasts. Yeah, she doesn't even have dive kick. So outside of Ring Blasts, she doesn't have anything that's new or original. Sorry, she doesn't have leg grab. She doesn't have, like, the traditional leg grab. She doesn't have the arcing kick. She doesn't have military stance. She does have parry. I do remember that, but that's only in one variation. So for variation 4, I want a very traditional Sonya. So alongside Soaring General, which would be her original, Square Wave, she could have old leg grab instead of the new leg grab, which goes low, possibly even as a true throw. And because that's one of her most iconic moves, the fact she doesn't have it in this game is really strange. And then we could give her either her old dive kick or her arc kick as well, because she already has parry. I don't know if she needs stance per se, but Yeah, have a very traditional Sonya would be what I would want with Variation 4, if we're going to give her moves. Cassandra Cage! Which I've done some tweaking to some of her loadouts lately, which is why this one is now purple. Under abilities, let me see. We have Flying Glow Kick, Advance, and Energy Bounce, Energy Burst, Shoulder Charge. Okay, so there is a fourth variation that I would like her to have, and it's actually... apologies here. It is in the Harley variation. I built it as such. By the way, do you like that new drone? It's very shiny. It's one of the cooler moves that she has that isn't in anything. It's Control BLB 118, where she actually kind of goes into a stance to control the drone, and then the drone has its own attacks, a short-range laser, an AoE shock, a bombing thing that she can do as well. So the drone having its own attack would be pretty sweet. And then, to round it all out, she has BLB 118 Bullet Ricochet, which gives her a kind of... Aaron Black in his cowboy hat variation in MKX could shoot a coin, bounce the bullet off the coin, and then that would be like a mid-projectile. This gives her something similar, where a faster version of that, where she shoots the drone, and then the bullet comes off of the drone. But is it cooler than OG Lesbian Cassie? I don't think so, but combine them together, we'd have something really sweet. But with a BLB 118 Bullet Ricochet, it would give her like a fast mid-projectile to help complement her zoning, to help set up the control, because she's completely vulnerable while this is out. Like, she can cancel it for free, but if she isn't keeping you out with drone shenanigans, you're in trouble. So this would be a really neat variation to have. And I also say that because she literally doesn't have anything else. Jax! My boy Jax. I don't believe has anything. We got Clap, nothing is cooler than OG Lesbian Cassie, but that sounds cool. Yeah. We stan Lesbian Cassie on this channel. We have Lethal Clap, which is an armor break now. Ground Shatter, which can pop opponents up. Wait, why am I talking about the competitive variations? I'm only doing this just to see if I'm missing anything. Let me see. Duck and Weave, Breaks Brigade Ripped, Quad Grab, Burning Hammer, Expert Grappler, and Lethal Clap, Ground Shatter, and Enhanced Outright. Okay. Okay, Buckshot is not in anything, but I think that's it. Yeah. It's Lesbian, not Lesbian. Oh. Lesbian Cassie. Okay, I got it. I see what you're doing there. Yeah, the issue is that Jax doesn't have anything either, and I'm not sure what you would give Jax that he doesn't have. Maybe plasma waves instead of rockets. That could actually be pretty cool. If we go back to the classic thing that we did with Sonya already. I'm stuck in my teeth. There we go. Buckshot replaces Thumper, and Thumper is a true projectile that he has outside of the rockets that require heat. So it's not a great projectile, but it's a projectile. Jax loses the projectile property with Buckshot. It just becomes an ender. So if we gave him Plasma Wave, like in MKX with the purple waves that he would punch out, I think instead to help complement that would kind of help bring back classic Jax and let Buckshot be used. I don't think that's something... I don't know. I think Jax could make an excellent choice for a mix and match fourth variation, since his moves are pretty cool already. Yeah, I gotcha. I just really want Buckshot to be used, because right now Buckshot can't be paired with anything. So I think if we have Buckshot in and then pair it up with maybe a 2-slot energy wave that is really good, but maybe has a charge instead of using heat, it would use a separate charge thing that he would build up that's separate from heat, like a separate meter, like Aaron Black's bullets. I think that would be pretty cool too. I will be right back. My cat is calling me to be outside. So, for the meantime, we'll get our boy Spawn to be a badass. Has it stopped repeating? Okay, it looks like... Nope, it hasn't stopped repeating. And where the hell did I put my controller? Damn it, I hate when I do that. No, seriously, where the hell did I put it? Oh, there it is. I hate when I do that. Okay, Spawn. This guy. This guy suffers from something that like... This was the character that was supposed to break the rules. 1 second. What's that? Close your door. Sorry. Boop. Feed the cat too, because it looks like it's almost empty. See the kitty. Spawny Boy is one of those characters that a change that was necessary kind of takes away something special from the guy in competitive. He used to be the only one that could break armor with the War Club, which was in 2 of his 3 variations. But now that every character has at least 1 variation that breaks armor, which, don't get me wrong, that's a change I absolutely was here for. Spawn doesn't feel that special anymore. He was supposed to be the character that breaks the rules, but now he kind of made the rules. So I kind of want them to give him something that would help him break the rules again. And he has buffs that can work this way. However, for some reason they conflict and I don't understand. We'll start with the one that is whatever. Plasm Pool. This creates a pool of necroplasm around him that increases his meter gauge regeneration. So he gets meter back faster, and he can amplify to make it as wide as possible automatically. So if he traps you in the corner, amplifies this, he's got all the meter in the world to mess with you. But now for the buffs, but now we'll talk about the major buffs, and I have one of them in this variation, the Underworld Ruler. Invoking the Legion. This buff lets him use his Fatal Blow early. He doesn't have to hit 30% anymore. All he has to do is do it, and then for a limited time, bam! He can make use of his Invoking the Legion in order to get an early Fatal Blow. With the caveat that if he does it early, the Fatal Blow does 10% less damage. But if he does it when he's already at 30% health, it does 10% more damage and is, for the range that it has, almost impossible to avoid, because he throws 3 grenades instead of 1 at close range. Then there's Soul Forfeit. This is a buff that destroys one of Spawn's offensive gauge meter bar things. So he effectively gives himself 1 bar instead of 2 I think it was intended to be for 1 round, but it ended up being permanent. He permanently did this. But by forfeiting that power permanently in the match, he gives himself easy crushing blows for the rest of the round, which means he can do crushing blows at any time for free. Those come with a caveat, though. When he lands a crushing blow, the actual crushing blow part does half damage. So Spawn's uppercut does 140 damage, and then 50 damage when he's breaking the jaw and launching the opponent. They fixed that now, so it's consistent with the rest of the cast. However, with Soul Forfeit, it's now 140 damage and 25 when he breaks the jaw, which I think is fair, because if you've seen my Ultimate Compendium on how to beat up the Joker, I have a combo with Spawn that I think I think it uses 3 or 4 crushing blows. So cutting that damage in half to normalize it so that he can, get this stupid amount of damage once per match, I think is worth it. But what I don't understand is that these buffs conflict with each other, but they're different inputs. This is a half circle input, whereas this is a quarter circle forward input. So I think the reason why they conflict is because they don't want you to have early crushing blow and early fatal blow at the same time. But Spawn is supposed to break the rules, so fuck that. Get rid of this conflict limit and let Spawn's 3rd variation be all about breaking the rules. Because he's the rebel, he's the edgy guy, he's the guy who shows up to Mortal Kombat and says, no, this is how you do a fighting game. So that's what I would do for this 4th variation for Spawny Boy. Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero. Once upon a time, I had a very easy idea for his fourth variation. But now I'm not so sure. Let me elaborate. Right now, he doesn't have a lot of moves that aren't in use, but he does have a few that are. The only options he really has are Ground Ice and Rising Ice. Rising Ice is a mid that's close up and can be used to end combos, but in the corner with meter, he can amplify it to get combos. I got distracted. That sounds like something that would get the two pros angry. What, Spawn breaking the rules of Mortal Kombat? Why the hell not? But yeah, so this in the corner would give Sub-Zero combos, and I like Rising Ice. Honestly, I think this should have been in one of his other variations to make him combo king, in a sense. Like, the way I built Grandmaster, in my opinion, is a better version of Dead of Winter. Because as much as I like Cold Shoulder, I think it would have been way better if he got Rising Ice instead in order to get combos. Because that was one of the big problems with Mortal Kombat 11, is that combos didn't have all that much variety. So it didn't look very interesting. Yeah, because some of these MK Sims would probably hate it. Ooh, calling them Sims. They'll have to learn to deal. But, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about Ground Ice for a second. Ground Ice would need to be adjusted, because right now it's a 2-slot ability that causes a hazardous zone. On Amplify, it can freeze from full screen and it's a lump. But normally it's unblockable. But here's the thing. It's unblockable, and it beats every Wake Up except for invincible attacks. This move is so strong that some people... I watched a video from P&D Ketchup talking about this. He thinks it's the strongest Giangolo. Oh boy, I see. But, yeah. We'll talk about that guy maybe in another stream. Or rather, the story decisions that make me scratch my head. But, back to Ground Ice and why it's busted. This beats everything on Wake Up. Can't jump on Wake Up because this will catch you immediately. Can't roll on Wake Up because you don't get out of range in time unless you're like super duper close and he can just space you out. We have... the launcher on Wake Up, not invincible, so it'll freeze, so it'll hit the guy and give him a guaranteed 7% damage for sweep, and just normally waking up is going to hit him. Please, let me roast Cyan Cold. Another time, I assure you, if I get more chums to discuss the story decisions. Yeah, this is sounding pretty bad, right? But it gets worse. This isn't a move that sets up for combos, but it resets the neutral, which is extremely dangerous because resetting the neutral with Sub-Zero at close enough range to get a low or an overhead off is scary. This is a mixed character because he has an overhead that can go into a low with the slide, or a low, or he can do overhead and catch you into Ice Ball. He has a lot that he can do if he resets the neutral. That's what makes Ground Ice really strong. So, my proposed alternatives are this. Either make Ground Ice 3 slots, and have that be the only thing equipped on this variation. Make it cost bar to use, so if it costs 1 defensive and 1 offensive bar to use, that would make it really strong, but if he doesn't have any, if he say tries to do it after a breakaway, he can't. Or here's what I would do. I would make it so that he was actually minus on hit, only by a little bit, just enough so that he isn't like fully resetting the neutral. My favorite idea is actually making it cost gauge, because it's a thing that's already in some really strong moves in this game, like Kung Lao's, like one of Kung Lao's things where he sets his hat to spin around him. But yeah, Ground Ice needs some adjustments if it's going to end up in a 4th variation, but once it's adjusted, I think this would be a good variation. With Rising Ice, not Creeping Ice. Jackie Briggs! Okay, Jackie, let's see if you're missing anything. Ground Pound, Air Blast, Bionic Bounce, Grenade Launcher, Dive Bomb, Tech Dome, and Lethal Clinch, Override, and Robo Grappler. I don't think is missing. She has a couple of moves that are missing, but I think she actually needs one more move. Because right now she just has Prototype Rocket and Hyper Knee. That's all she has that aren't in anything. Hyper Knee would be a great combo ender. Might need some adjustments. Maybe make it a 10 hit instead of 8 hits because she has a natural 6 hit string or 6 hit special. And it also breaks armor for some reason. This is the only armor break move in the game that isn't on any competitive variations. Get rid of that. She doesn't need that. And Prototype Rocket can allow for some zoning. And fun fact, if you do Ground Rocket when you're touching the opponent gets sent far enough back that she can get a Dash Punch Crushing Blow off of it. So technically a combo. But she right now it's just Prototype Rocket and Hyper Knee. You could make Hyper Knee 2 slots, actually, and then it would be okay, and leave it as it is, and that would be pretty good. And that would make this a 4th variation, but I personally think it would be super cool if we saw more use out of this thing right here, the shield battery. We stand this funky lady, yeah. So the thing about the shield battery is that it's only used in one variation and her throw. That's it. And it's used to create a dome that's supposed to, I believe, reduce damage, but I think if the opponent is inside of it, that damage is nullified for some reason. So what I propose, are these all? No, they're not all what I thought it was. I like that blue. Any shrew. I like that blue. Any shrew. I think what would be really cool is if we got her to throw down a plasma wall that restricts movement. Because NetherRealm genius. I guess. But I think what they should do is that they should let her throw the shield battery to kind of create walls that do damage and stay up to stop projectiles. And possibly allow her to get in. So, like, bodies can move in, but projectiles can't. Hello, kitty. So, I think that would just make for a fun variation. Ray Diddy! Well, first you're going to need buffs before we can talk about variations. But, oh my Jesus! What did they do with your 3rd variation, man? Okay, so this is his 3rd variation. It's the Joe Push and Lightning Rod. Why? First off, why does Joe Push replace Electric Fly? I'll tell you why, because it's in a variation with Lightning Rod, and it needs to have the straight lightning in order to have Lightning Rod synergy. But that is still dumb. Like, give Joe Push a new input, back forward 2, and I would have been fine with that. And then Lightning Rod, I actually kind of like Lightning Rod because it plants it in the ground, doof. And then you kind of set up a hazard. That's fine. I hate Joe Push, though. Also, Joe Push goes away if you set down the lightning rod. So this is just rough. What I wanted for a 3rd variation, there's going to be a couple of these, and what would make an excellent 4th variation is one revolving around the moves that are missing, but make him kind of godly. I think I have most of them. Haoka? Yeah. Haoka, more NetherRealm genius. But this is the variation I wanted for variation 3, and what I would like to see for variation 4. Mostly because there isn't anything else, but this is actually a genuinely cool variation. Super Bolt replaces Electric Fly, and if this is fully charged on Counter or Punish and then amplified, it's a crushing blow that does more damage than Electric Fly and is more reliable. And plus, Super Bolt just looks really cool. The only thing is that Super Bolt doesn't have the same range as Electric Fly. Fair trade-off. Lightning Storm gives him a stance that lets him fly towards the opponent, and then does a couple of things after it. Overhead Stomp, Lightning Bolt down, Lightning Bolt straight, amplify for a series of lightning to catch the opponent. And then there's Rolling Thunder, which the only thing I would like to change is if he could, instead of the amplify making it last longer, I would like the amplify to stop it in place, so that he has a sort of centralized storm carpet for damage instead of one that moves towards the opponent. But this features some of the really cool rating moves that are missing from other variations, this would be top. Baraka.
Oh my gosh, hello.
Baraka, I do not think is... No, I'm dumb. He does have a fourth variation potential, and this is what I wanted for his third variation as well. But I'm less mad about this because the third variation we did get is actually cool, because it's Blade Charge and then Baraka Zerker. This is his flag variation. I would love for there to be, you know, more stuff involving this thing, instead of just plonking it down after a fatal blow or in a special move for damage, which right now that's alright, but we can make it cooler. So, let's start with Warbanner Bash. This replaces the Warbanner plant to have him smash the opponent, then plant it. So on a hit confirm, you hit confirm this, you smash them, it knocks them down some distance, you plant it, and then you start zoning, which Baraka zoning, do not underestimate. It's actually really good. And then there's Staked, which is a huge combo ender. So you knock the opponent down in the corner, you get this, you do another hit confirm into Staked. Staked on its own does 21% damage, which is huge. I wouldn't mind if it even got cut back to 15%, because that's a lot of damage. But just land this, do the damage, in the corner, there you go. And if you want to get into the corner, you have Warbanner Charge, which is an armored Warbanner Charge where he picks up the flag and charges at you. Yeah! If he hits you, he plants it down and resets the timer. But if he misses or hits a blocked opponent, not only is he punished, but he also loses the flag, meaning meaning he loses the damage buff. So, high risk, high reward with Warbanner Charge. Noob Saibot! Noob Saibot. Let's see what he's missing. Sickle Snag, Sickle Toss, Air Shadow Dive, Spear Ball, Shadow Portal, Sickle Port, Ghost Ball, Teleslam, Shadow Slide. Okay, I think I know that, yeah, he's only missing one move in Shadow Strike, which is a close range low poke. Nah, not necessary. Not a necessary thing at all. It's not that great. The best you could do is maybe bait overhead wake-ups and stuff. But the thing is that, again, I don't know what you would do with Noob Saibot. I don't know what you would do with Noob Saibot that hasn't been done already. Like, you can maybe have a move where he summons his clone and the clone fights for him, has much less health, but fights for him and saves his skin, maybe. Or you can give him, like, Dark Curses or something. I don't know. I don't think there's really much of anything that you can give to Noob Saibot that he's already had in previous games or anything like that that isn't already in Mortal Kombat 11. I think he's got quite a good variety. More mix and match? I'm thinking more mix and match, yeah, because I can't think of anything else, so he would probably be mix and match. Scorpion! Why did he not get a fire variation? I'll tell you why, because he got Misery Blade and Sin Blade, which is fine, because Misery Blade is really scary, and Sin Blade gives him an NJP from MKX. Cool. Not as cool, though, or I guess not as hot, as literal fire variation. Throw a fireball that can be amplified for combos. Demon Breath to catch opponents jumping and do decent damage. Demon Dash is an ender. This variation, all about fire, does for me what variation 2 used to do before it was confirmed this was the tournament variation. This had Death Spin, which was an amazingly cool move where he was like twirling the spearhead around. He had spear combos that looked sick, because clearly the fire dude doesn't need fire. I know. And then they made the Death Spin 1 slot, because there was originally 2 slots for some stupid reason, but they made Death Spin 1 slot so that they can sock in Burning Spear to buff that to make it really nice. Like, I made this, and they completely forgot that this actually ended up being Tournament Variation 2. So that's good. But what's not good is that we didn't get the Fire Variation. And I would love to get a Fire Variation, my guys. Give Scorpion the Fire Variation, and I will play Scorpion on Combat League. I will. Seriously, I will. Kano! this is a character that I believe has some stuff going on. Snake Bite, Optic Blast, Vegemite, Molotov Cocktail, Chemical Burn, Lumbar Check, Rack Off, and Manhandled. And then we don't have Biomagnetic Pull, or Trap. I believe that's it. Yeah. So, just like Frost, Kano has something that has moves that conflict with each other, but aren't in anything, and they're together. And I can see why in this case. One, they share an input, and two, they involve the same thing. They involve the cybernetic heart that's implanted in his chest there. By the way, this is... I hate Kano usually, but the fact that they actually gave him all of these tattoos is actually kind of cool. However, the thing about Biomagnetic Trap and Biomagnetic Pull is that like, these guys conflict, and that makes sense. But now, that leaves Kano with only one slot, and he needs something to fill it up. I would personally like to see, because he already has, cool for a gross dude, I know. Let's see what he had in MKX, perfect example. What did he have in MKX that he didn't have before? He didn't have, one thing he did not have was grenade stuff. He had grenades on him that he could use, but here's the thing, none of his skins, I mean, this isn't really necessary, but none of his skins have grenades on them, so this isn't really necessary. What I would do instead for Kano is I would give him, this would be 2 slots. How would I describe this? I got it. I would give him a stamina regeneration move for 2 slots. And what would that be? Have him slam back some beer. Have him slam back some beer, chuck it aside, and he regains a chunk. Not a whole bar, but a chunk of stamina instantly. And then when he amplifies it, it speeds up his regeneration. But maybe after 4 or 5 beer, he kind of gets sloppy. He gets drunk for a little bit. He's a little woozy, a little bit staggery, and he's minus on block on a lot of things. So he's less safe because of new drunken recoveries. So he would slam a beer back, and he would get drunk, and he would get kind of woozy. Now, this would wear down over time, so if you spaced out your drinks, you'd be fine. But this is something, yeah, I know I'm stealing it from Baraka, but I think would be kind of neat, because we see this guy drink a lot. Like, even in one of his fatalities, he drinks. So, you know, get some of that sweet goodness involved. You get more stamina, but lose defense and maybe some speed. Yeah, because maybe some movement speed. Yeah, because he's staggering a little bit. I can see that too. Cabal is weird because my original idea for a 3rd variation partially made it in. The spins, which by the way was something he had already, but I think they renamed that so it's not conflicting. This used to be called Speed Demon, and this is his combo variation, and he gets Gas Blast, which before I wanted paired with Slight Gas, which is a command jump. That allows him some distance and would fit in with the gas theme. But we didn't get that. What he's missing, let's see, we got Air Straight Buzz and Rolling Buzzsaw. Clean Cut is low grab, Nomad Spin. Why is Nomad Spin even a move? And that. So for Cabal, he has... let's see. He has... I want to say he only has one real option in Flash Parry, where he can parry the opponent's attack and it leaves him plus enough to do stuff, and that's it. Gas Blast is technically in, and that was his, like, Purple Blast, so they changed that. Yeah, and you know what? I would give him a 2-slot move that rips off of Flash, because Reptile's not in this game to do that. Give him a move that lets him supercharge himself, so that he moves faster and does more things, you know, gets crazy damage, and he's moving really fast. But it burns meter to just use, and then maybe after the combo he's like, whoa, okay, hold on. He's got to recover and fix himself. So, yeah, I would like the speed thing and then slight gas. Well, done. Except slight gas is 2 slots, so I don't know. Whatever. Liu Kang has stance, slam, vanish, parry, dragonfire, teleport, and stance, fireball, dragon parry. But I'm pretty sure yeah. Just like Collector, Liu Kang only has just enough for 3 variations, and that's it. So, yeah. Maybe, oh, you know what would be really cool? 3 slot ability, Duelist. Give him Duelist stuff like he had from Mortal Kombat X, where he could throw light fireballs for damage, or change it to Dark Stance in order to set up Dark Mines, and then buff his damage that way as well. So give him light and dark Duelist shenanigans with 3 slots. Mwah! There you go. Kitana. Yes, I changed this to be a DC reference. Kitana. Oh boy, this is the character I wanted to talk about for a little while. She has all of her abilities combined take up 16 slots, meaning that theoretically she would need 6 variations in order to get them all. And in fact, she does. Right now, I don't have 2 of her abilities equipped. One of them because I don't have one of her abilities equipped, just because it's just straight up terrible. It's her Dancing Fans. Which Dancing Fans, by the way, is awful. I don't know what they were thinking with this move. It's a super slow, you throw the fans, they arc together and explode. But you don't get anything. She's minus on block, first off, and you don't get much of anything. They don't hit the opponent until they collide, which means if you go for the far version, you gave the opponent the full screen to advance on you. Sure, on Amplify you get a combo, but it's very brief. Dancing Fans means the opposite of what Ground Freeze for Sub-Zero needs. Dancing Fans needs some serious adjustments, but that's not the only move. Because remember, all her competitive variations have Fan Nado, Low Fan Toss, Edenian Twist, Half Blood Stance, Edenian Razors, Fan Flutter, Ground War, and Royal Protection. So, what does that leave her with? It leaves her with 1, 2, because I don't... okay, 1, because she does have Low Fan Toss. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Edenian Fade. Yeah, it leaves her with 5 moves that are not used. Oh, okay. Shadowcat's gonna turn in. Have a good night! And the funny thing is that the chat thing is still gonna keep going, even when she's gone. Maybe it'll stop, though, at some point. But yeah, so for those of you who are just tuning in and wondering what the hell's going on with the chat, leave that be. Ignore that as best as you can, because that's just continuing to go. So, here's the thing. She has 5 moves right now that can't be used, right? One of them is 2 slots, or 2 of them are 2 slots for starters, and some of them conflict with each other. First off, why does Edenian Fade conflict with Half-Blood Stance if they're both 2 slots? That's completely unnecessary, unless they were intending on having like a 4th slot at some point, or one of these was going to be 1 slot, and I don't know. This was weird. This is really strange. But yeah, so I could theoretically, like, again, with Kitana, I can make 6 variations and still have enough room for a 7th. almost, because let's just do it. Air Piercing Dagger and Edenian Fate. That's one. Dancing Fans and Retreating and Advancing Fan Flutter. That's two. Actually, you can do a seventh. If you do Upward Fan Toss and then do a combination move that isn't very common, which is Ground War and Edenian Twist, because these do pair up. You do get Edenian Twist on the ground if you do Ground War. So, Kitana technically has enough for 7 variations in her abilities list, and she's stuck with 3. So, you have so much to work with Kitana, I don't even know where to start with this character. Although, I think what I should do is, I want to talk Dancing Fans, because this is awful. Like, just for the sake of this video, I'm going to replace Low Fan Toss in this variation with Dancing Fans and show you what the hell is wrong with this. So, show you just how awful, and I do mean it, how fucking awful this move is. It's absolutely terrible. Here. Okay, Kitana in here. And sure, Sub-Zero, the rest doesn't matter.
Special Forces Desert Command.
Oh boy. Hang on. There's a possibility that I'm coming in tomorrow for work, so I just gotta fix something. Clocks. Turn it on. 7:30. Okay, so Dancing Fans. I'm gonna turn on frame data for this one, like I usually do. Okay. Okay. This frame data is a lie, first off, because it says it starts up at 15 frames and is active for 31. It isn't. It's only active for 3 frames. The actual startup is closer to like 45. It's 45 frames and is active for 3. This is the slowest. This is the slowest normal attack in the game, and it's straight up. It's slower than Cassie Cage's Air Fatal Blow before it got fixed. This is terrible. And then what are you getting for that? 6% damage. It's a mid, and you're not getting it. You amplify it. The opponent is in the air, but I only have enough room to dash in and not even complete that full strength. So. And if you whiff, which is easy to do... Okay, I have a Fanado, so that's going to make things look weird and be bad. But you could theoretically combo off of this into stuff, but... But you're not going to get anything off of this, right? And like I said... This is far version. This is far version. This is far version. Look, it only hits just barely at this range. There's a lot that can be done to improve this attack, and it friggin' needs it. It needs the improvement in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's actually unblockable, that would be a good place to start. Whether it be unblockable, whether this thing hits on the way in, whether it gets a major overhaul, Dancing Fans needs a change of some description. Otherwise, it is horrible. And I wouldn't recommend it for a 5th, 6th, or a 7th variation for Kitana. And yes, Kitana has enough moves to have 7 different variations. And unlike Cetrion, who arguably has more, 5 of her moves are not the same damn thing, just spread out across everything. So I'm just gonna do this and put Low Fan Toss back. I just want to see thing, aerial. Yeah, right, because we never repeated anything. Kung Lao. I believe Kung Lao has a couple of possibilities. We have Hat Possession, which lets him set the hat around the opponent, and then Omega had to double up on that. But like the Edenian twist thing, it requires a move that's already in a variation, so let's suppose that that's not a thing that's allowed. Then we have this, so this could be technically variation 5 in theory. We get Buzzsaw Hat, which lets him throw the hat and then control it and then send it forward as a mid, so he has a traditional projectile. And then you have Possessed Hat, which goes up and then down, and it has a second hat that follows suit. So you have your wonky zoning, and then you have your true zoning. And that's all you really need to worry about. And this would be a straightforward, really nice variation for Kung Lao, emphasis on the hat. Jade, I believe, basically has everything as well. Divine Forces, Vanishing Wits, Deadly Assassin, Pull Vault, the Cancel, and Amplified Nitro Kick, and then her zoning variation. So that leaves her with Delia's Dance, and I believe that's it. Yeah, she only has Delia's Dance, and that's it. Which kind of sucks, because Delia's Dance is nice, and it has a brutality on it, and it's really cool, but that doesn't leave her with anything else. What I would do is I would give her some of her old MK... What am I, English? No. MK9? No. Anyway, MK9 moves, and make them specials. Kind of the opposite of what happened with Sindel with her cartwheel. That was a special move, and now it's just a normal. I would give her, like, her pole vault dance thing, upward pole vault dance, plant the thing and then kick upwards as a really fantastic anti-air / launcher to launch them straight into the air. And that would be a special move. And then, I think, because there is a classic Jade move that is missing from her arsenal, and I don't know why. So we're gonna do a little bit of the Sonya situation. Maybe don't hit myself in the face with that. There'll be a certain Sonya situation with this, where we bring back another old move, special move, classic move, one we don't have in Mortal Kombat 9 or Mortal Kombat 11. But that Kitana stole from her in Mortal Kombat X. The Staff Impale. Bring the Staff Impale back. Just needs to be there. Shiva Bobiva. This is our first Aftermath character. And Aftermath characters, I believe, have all of their... don't have anything missing from... They're those characters that have just enough for 3 variations and that's it. A lot of them did have this happen. So... Actually, no. I forgot. Shiva does have one move that isn't in anything. And it's Dragon Stance, which replaces her Shao Kahn Flame, and she kind of gets to a fire stance and lets her throw fireballs in different directions. And then throw them in, or give her health sparks, or give her a giant fireball. This would be pretty cool. And then what I would also do... she's supposed to be Queen of the Shao Kahn, right? So what if she could also, like, pull a thing out of Johnny Cage's, Double Johnny Cage's arsenal, and have her summon a Shao Kahn to help her? You know, come in a couple different ways. We could have them charge in with Punch Walk, or come in from above with a Stomp, or come in from behind and restrain the opponent. And that would let Shiva have a commanding attack and have a commanding presence on the battlefield, which would be pretty cool. Plus, I love this Shiva. Look at this Shiva. This is the best Shiva's ever looked in anything ever, and you can't tell me otherwise. Kotal Khan. I know exactly what Kotal Khan would have for his 4th variation, because it's all that he has left, and it would work really well. I don't have it equipped in this variation, because I split it between totems when the only variation to have totems was the cat. But we have Chikatok Totem, I think that's how you say that, Chikatok, which increases his gauge regeneration, which, like Spawn, would be super cool to see, because, you know, Spawn doesn't, Spawn wouldn't have that. It wouldn't necessarily make Spawn unique anymore, but not too many characters can regenerate their stamina this way. And then it would stack, and he would get stupid amounts of the totems, or of stamina regen. Which leads us to Directed Rays. This is the second meter burn, which lets him fire a beam of sunlight at the opponent. This has a crushing blow if 3 totems are stacked on top of each other when he goes for this. It's slow as hell, and it's weak in damage, but it's a combo starter. From full scream, like he can move in and do a forward 2 and still connect with the opponent. This is a really solid ability. And then that would just leave him with his anti-air totem sun disc explosion attack, which is Tonatia Burst, which attack with a burst of light and cause it to explode. Boom, bang, boom. That's it. That's all you need. And that's all that Kotal has. And frankly, theming-wise and what he would have, this would make for a really cool Kotal variation. One more centered around light. Also, quick rant. God Ray needs an amplify. I want to give God Ray an amplify where it either follows the opponent or follows Kotal. D'Vorah. She's another case of a character that has a couple of 2-slot abilities that kind of get in the way of each other, but otherwise works out pretty well. But otherwise, she would theoretically have enough. She doesn't have a resurrect. The only character right now that no characters in Mortal Kombat 11 right now have a resurrect mechanic in their competitive variations. 3 of them do, but both of them don't have it in their base arsenal. D'Vorah does, and it's Mother Bug. And this being in a tournament variation would be really funny because it's technically one hit to kill this thing, but you have to hit it. And it's moving around and firing projectiles and knocking you down. It's going to be annoying, but this would be really nice to see. However, the only other ability that she doesn't have in anything right now is Super Swarm, which is also 2 slots. This would agitate the wasps and cause them to attack the opponent. I would turn this into a 1-slot because this requires stamina. And if this didn't require stamina, then I can see this being worth 2 slots. But since it does, you can take away that 1 slot, throw it in with Mother Bug, and you got yourself D'Vorah's variation 4. Aaron Black. I gotta double check again. I always double check just to be sure. Beast Trap, Acid Pour, Cattle Toss, TNT Toss, Rattlesnake Slide, Scud Shot, Gunslinger, and Locked and Loaded. Okay, he has 2 moves that aren't in anything, and then he would just need a 3rd. He has up Peacemaker and down Peacemaker. Fire the pistols upwards for an anti-air, fire them downwards for a mid, not a low for some reason, but a quick step back and pull kind of thing. Now, if we gave him standoff stance back, where he would just do this and a quick draw, I think that would be mint. I think that would be really cool. Just generally a really good time. Do I have that actually set up? Yeah, I do. I have it set up in Jonas Hex, where it's up Peacemaker, down Peacemaker, and Scud Shot. But if you replace Scud Shot with his standoff stance, or sand grenades, caltrops, anything that he had in the last game, then you would be set. This is gonna be weird because technically it'll show like 1,000 comments, and then there'll just be like 9 in the actual feed. Scarlet, you also got gypped a little bit. When Scarlet's when it was announced that everybody would be getting a 3rd variation, I knew exactly what I wanted for that 3rd variation. This one. All of the buffs. Red Mist for damage over time. Crimson Shield to reduce damage. Red Rain for a damage buff if you stand in it. Only Red Mist made it in the 3rd variation. And that almost stings more than none of the buffs making it in. So what I would do is that but we still have enough to make a 4th variation. First off, I just want to say for the 3rd variation, did we really have to dip into the buffs? Oh, that's right, because Boiling Point and then Self Siphon, so. Oh, fucking Blood Ritual. You could have replaced Blood Ritual with Retribution, which is her Vomit Restand, and then have all buffs, still have all the buffs for her 4th variation. That would have been nice, but no, we had Retribution. What the hell was it called? It was Blood Ritual. Blood Ritual just is terrible. That needs some serious love. But what I would do is I would do Crimson Shield and Red Rain just to get the buffs out of the way, and then I would do Retribution because it's the only one that's missing out of the back 4 moves, and it would give her a nice damaging restand to keep opponents on the ground. RoboCop. I don't think RoboCop really needs a... well, but since everybody's getting a 4th variation, we might as well. Alterations to straight auto 9, terminal strip upgraded, flamethrower low auto, and arm cannon, and spike strips, OCP charge, and electric shield. So, is he... okay, so he's missing trick shot, and that's it. So, like Shiva, he has a move that isn't in any tournament variations. That would be pretty cool. So, first off, I read the description for this the first time. I was like, wait, what? But yeah, RoboCop breaks the 4th wall. He shoots the screen, cracking it, and then the bullet bounces off and hits the opponent. It's actually kind of funny. With RoboCop, though, I don't know what else you could give the guy. He is one of those guest characters I'm not overly familiar with, and he's the only guest character we've hit so far where he doesn't have enough for a 4th variation on its own. So, I don't know, maybe an ED209 assist, since that thing featured prominently in both intros and super moves. But like, I don't know. Speaking of guests, we hit our last one with the Terminator. Terminator has rolling ion grenade and incapacitator. Which I don't know why the upward grenade was thrown in there. Incapacitator could have been saved for something else. Backbreaker, Death Grip, and Running Man, Infiltrator Toss, Endo Lunge, and Cyber Rift. Okay. Now, those of you who play the Terminator immediately go to 2 things. You guys would probably immediately go to Endoskeleton, if you like the cool factor of the Endoskeleton. Or you would go immediately to Terminate, because you know how freaking broken Terminate was in Mortal Kombat 11. I think Terminate originally should have been 3 slots. Armor up, boom, you are unkillable. However, now that every character has at least one armor-breaking move with some level of beneficiality, whether they be universal, whether they do damage, whether they get rid of the buff, or whether they do a crushing blow, or whether they launch, Terminate would give him armor on the ground. Maybe it would give him infinite armor. But if it breaks, then the Terminate buff immediately goes away. That would be the only change I would make it, plus I would make it 2 slots. And then that's all you would need. But because I'm making it 2 slots, I'm not adding an Endoskeleton. Even though Endoskeleton as a revival mechanic would be pretty sweet, the only issue is that Endoskeleton needs some work. And I think what should be done is that instead of Endoskeleton only having 20% health or some really small amount of health, give him 50% health. This is the goddamn Terminator we're talking about here. He's supposed to be an unstoppable killing machine. Let him be an unstoppable killing machine! And yes, there is the armor, but remember, armor-breaking moves are a thing in this game. So, it is what it is. So, but he also has TDE, where he teleports. This, however, conflicts with Terminate. So, there's a few options that he has, but they all kind of conflict with each other in some way, shape, or form. And then there's Ion Grenade, which replaces his shotgun. There you go. Okay, sure. Check the grenade. You have a few options here. Technically, Terminator has enough for 5 variations, but what I would do is I would do Terminate, and then make it 2 slots. And then I would do Rolling Ion Grenade. That's what I would do, personally, for Terminator's 4th variation. Gearus! This one's easy, too. This one's relatively easy, but the thing is that there's also a couple of things that kind of make things a little rough. First thing that first comes to my mind is Reawakened. Give him a buff that lets him resurrect himself in exchange for whatever meter he has. Boom, bang, done. Yes, this would be great. And what's missing is Shifting Sands. And we can have Shifting Sands in there in order to... We can have Shifting Sands in order to allow him to reliably set this up because it restricts movement. But while reverse time as a resurrecting thing would be very cool and fits with his character, I think there's something even cooler we could do with Geras because of another thing that he can do. Lost in spare time. So, that description, I got a sneeze coming. Perfectly timed. Lost time and spare time. This move needs a bit of a rework in order to make it worth it, but once that's done, that would be awesome. So, lost time and spare time. Add or remove time from the round timer based off of the input you put in. You either add 30 seconds or you remove 30 seconds from the game clock. And right now, you can only do one of them per round. Of either of them. You can do either spare time or either lost time. And I think what would be cooler is all of this would need is allow you to use one of each instead. Treat them like separate crushing blows instead of separate fatal blows. You know what I mean? You, let's say at the start of the round, boom, lost time. And your opponent already has 30 less seconds to deal with you. And then if you need more time to pull a comeback, just use spare time. But remember, you can't use that same move twice. So there you go. So in my personal opinion, I would do lost time and spare time and pair it up with shifting sands. That would just be me though. Reawakened is just as valid, or almost as valid, like just a few points less. Because I think messing with the game timer would give Mortal Kombat 11 something unique, and that I don't think there's another fighting game character that does that. There are characters in Mortal Kombat who resurrect themselves, much less other fighting games, Gil. But no fighting game character I can think of in any fighting game that's been released has a time-altering mechanic. So give it to Geras to make it unique. Collector. We talked about this guy. He doesn't have enough for a fourth variation. Maybe some other tricks he could pull out of his bag or something, but right now he's got nothing. Sindalicious! I say Sindalicious because I refuse to actually call her Sindel. I refuse to actually call this woman Sindel. Nope, you can't make me. No, no, no. You can't make me. You can't make me call this woman Sindel. She is not. She is not Sindel. You can't make me, guys. Stop it. You're not gonna win. However, with Sindel, we do have some options for a fourth variation. We have Royal Traps, and that is, if I look, Enhanced Regal Presence and Bellowing Banshee. Hello, Pika Max Truno. Welcome to the chat. Just as a heads up, your message is going to repeat off on the side here, so bear that in mind. I don't know why, but it's just going to be a thing. Unless you are just watching me in the YouTube chat, focus on that instead of this. So with Sindalicious, you know, todo bien? Nice. I'm not good with my French, so I do apologize. Alright, so, as I was saying, Sindalicious can have Enhanced Regal Presence, which lets her do attacks out of Regal Presence, which would be awesome. And then, let's give her Bellowing Banshee, which screams and launches herself backwards and knocks down the opponent. Boom. Done. That is her fourth variation. Fusion! Pretty sure... Let's see. Cyclone has Wind Push, Air Slime, and Deadly Winds. Wind Barrier, Skywalker, and Warped Needle. I no hablo en español, so I do apologize. So I do apologize for that, but I can't speak Spanish, so I mean, Pika could literally call me a fart face on stream, and I wouldn't know. But, unlike the other two Aftermath characters, Fujin actually has a few moves that aren't in anything. So he has enough for a fourth variation, and then some. So, for instance, he actually does have enough moves to have a fourth and almost a fifth variation. So we'll start from... where should I start from? Oh, wait. No, wait. Wind Barrier is in something, so I think he only has exactly enough for a fourth variation. Never mind. So we'll start from Jet Stream. Good day. Ah, either saying goodbye or just messing with me, so... Good times. Jet Stream. This buffs the reach of some of his attacks, letting him harness the wind, for instance, in order to extend the reach. And this is for things like his down 4 or certain strings that use the wind. Pressure Bomb. This is right now pretty bad, but could be better if allowed to have some tricks added to it. It's a pocket of unstable air that floats across the flight lane and then goes boom and explodes. He said goodbye. But goes in, floats in, bang, done. Turbulence restricts opponent jumping, but not their movement on the ground. So it's almost a mirror image of the sand trap thing from Geras earlier. And that's all that's really left, is all of that. But this makes a fourth variation for Fujin. I'd take that. I'd buy that for $1. No, wait, that was the Robo guy. Cetrion. Porque tampoco. Again, don't speak Spanish, so I don't know. I do not know what you said. I do apologize. Cetrion, outside of her circles, doesn't have anything, which is very strange. I would personally give her, you know what I would do? I think just to be cheeky, what I would do is, first off, I give her a 2-slot ability where she disappears, and then, sorry, but I don't understand what you're saying, Pika. I can't speak Spanish. No habla en español. So, if I could, I would respond, but I can't, so I'm sorry. What was I saying now? Cetrion. I'd have her disappear, then, like, either punch the ground or stomp down with giant foot, and have that be tracking. And maybe that would replace her tentacle grab, but I don't care. Giant stomp. And then amplifier for a giant sunbeam that traps the opponent and does huge damage. I want more Elder Goddess shenanigans. So let's spice it up a little bit. That is going to be everything for my take on what fourth variations ought to look like in Mortal Kombat 11. Although I'm curious to know what you guys have to say. Particularly those of you who were not able to make it to the stream. Comment below. Do you want Liu Kang to turn into a dragon? I don't know what you guys want. So tell me. Don't forget to be awesome, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye.